Hey, welcome back to Vintage Vera Bradley. This is a look at the newest version of a 100 bag. This is called the original 100 handbag. It came out this month, October 2025. This pattern is Mistletoe Lattice, and I'm going to scooch on in closer so we can get a look at it. But I want you to see the strap drop and the shape of it from a distance. All right, so let's let the straps fall. Zoom in and take a look at what drew me to this bag. I'm not a handbag type gal. Usually, almost always use crossbodies. I wish, Vera Bradley, I don't know if anyone from your company watches my videos, but this would have been the perfect pattern to bring back the triple zip hipster. No having to worry about cut off, weird pattern placement, this lovely piping. It would have been just awesome. But since that didn't happen, this is what I decided to purchase. They had a sale. It was slightly less inexpensive over on the paper store, and then they had a 30% sale on top of that. So I was able to get a good deal on this. So take a look at the piping. I never thought we would see that return, and we have. It's lovely. This has a nice structure to it. Like, I'm not quite sure how they accomplished that, but it's got a good solid feel to it. The padding in here is still pretty minimal. It feels slightly improved compared to the original drawstring backpack. Not quite as flimsy as that, but still not anywhere near the amount of padding I would like to have in a strap. But having the trim or the piping edging here gives it some substance. You see the Vera Bradley name tag there. So the front, you get the front on this particular style. If you're looking at ones that have the patchwork quilting, you need to pay attention closely because they may not have a front pocket. They may have different pockets on the inside. So this is on this particular one, which is in cotton in Mistletoe Lattice. So you get a front pocket. It's not very wide and very deep. I'll go into that here in a bit. You get an end pocket and a tab, an end pocket and a tab. You get a nice chunky, easy glide zipper and a fabric zipper pull. And these feel improved. They don't feel like they're gonna fray. We'll see over time. And then inside, that's the interior pattern. You get, on this back wall, you get one medium-sized pocket in the middle and two very narrow pockets on the sides. I'm not quite sure what they intended for those to be for, but I'll show you here in a bit when I pack it up what I figured could fit. So you get 1, 2, 3 on this back wall, one real pocket and two not sure what to use them for pockets. And then on the inside of the front wall, I really love that they did this. Look, it's a quilted cotton interior, very nice. And then the pocket is very nice here, the one that's on the back of the front wall. And here you have one wide enough, barely wide enough for an iPhone 15 to fit in horizontally. And then one more of the very narrow, not sure what they intended that for, pockets. Okay, so I'm going to give you the dimensions of this. The strap drop is 13.5, and that's if it's pulled really tight. I would say I'd measure it more at 13, but if I made it be as tight as it could, it did go to 13.5. The dimensions on this, which are interesting because they're not quite identical to any other version of this. From what I can tell, this is the 6th version of a 100 handbag. They had the original handbag style number 100 that you can see in my vintage Vera Bradley video about indigo. And I'm not sure exactly what years. I think that was their first style handbag on up to, I'm not sure when that one retired. There's no record, there's no website record that far back. Then the second version that I could find was a handbag in 2002 for the 20th anniversary. And then the third version was still just called handbag in 2004. And they slightly reconfigured how the straps were and the pockets and a key clip, and it was slightly different. And I'll put all of this in the description here on YouTube so you can read. In 2012, they had the first version that called it the 100 handbag. And that still, again, I think was slightly different in configuration compared to previous versions, not by much. Then the fifth version was the iconic 100 handbag in 2018, and it was a major redesign, and I kind of wish they would have brought that one back, or a slightly taller, wider version of this. I wish that they would have made this be tall enough to where the front pocket could totally hold a standard size phone in a normal case without it sticking out at the top. And that would have been probably possible on the iconic 100 handbag 2018 model, because the dimensions I found online for it were 10.5 inches long, 7.5 inches high, and 5.5 inches depth or width. So 7.5 inches high would have been enough for a pocket to have held a cell phone. And then now this is version number 6 from October 2025, original 100 handbag. And the dimensions are 11 inches long. So this way, 11 inches long, 5.75 inches high, and 5.5 inches deep. So this way. What else? It's called premium cotton now. I don't know if that's really any different than cotton gabardine. It has a good feel to it, a slightly more cush than the video where I complained about how thin and flimsy the original drawstring backpack was, but it still could use some more work in that department. I hope at some point we get back to more substantial padding. Same thing here on the strap. I wish it feels better than what's on that drawstring backpack, I think mainly because it has this piping to help it feel more sturdy. Okay, so as far as the dimensions of the pockets, that's what I couldn't find anywhere online, and the main reason I'm doing this video. The exterior pockets, you have one on the front here that is 4.5 inches high and 3.25 inches wide. And I'll show you a picture here that I took of it from my Android phone so you could see how far my iPhone 15 in a casely case sticks up. That's not okay. I mean, when I could push it down and get it a little bit further down in there. Let's see if I can find that picture. So slightly better, but still, that's not something that would be safe for me to carry out in public like that. So that's kind of an issue. But I'll show you the largest interior pocket. I was able to slide my iPhone 15 in a casely case down horizontally, and it fit fine. The medium-sized pocket it sticks up pretty high. I could zip it closed, but it just felt awkward. So that probably won't be something I'd use that pocket for. The end was even worse and threw it off balance. So won't be using an end pocket for the cell phone. All right, so I'm going to show you, this is an Android phone and it's significantly taller. So I'm using this to show how much worse it'd be if you have a taller, wider phone. These pockets would not work well. This can barely fit horizontally down in the largest pocket. I'll show you. I have to force it. So it can fit in there, but it's not easy to get out. So if I needed to answer the phone, that would be an issue. All right, so these other pockets. On the interior, so the back wall here has a medium-sized pocket and two very narrow pockets. I'm not sure what they were thinking when what did you design these for, Vera? Lipstick? I'm not sure. A pen? How many pens do people carry these days? Because there's 3 of them that are sized that way. It just seemed like a poor use of pockets. Like it would have been better to have 2 normal sized pockets than these little doodads on the sides. But I'll show you here in a second. I'll load it up and you can decide for yourself. And then on the pockets that are behind the front, that's where you get the largest pocket and then one more of the what were they thinking, I'm not sure what I would use that for, pockets. But I really love that we have the return of the quilted cotton interior, and even the pocket is quilted cotton interior, and it has the piping. And look at that. So some really nice return of finishing details we see here. So that's what drew me back to I have to have one, even though I'm not really much of a handbag kind of girl. I could picture carrying this, to church at Christmas or family gatherings at the holidays. What I love about this too, even though it's called Mistletoe Lattice, it doesn't read holidays to me. You'd have to look really close to see these little berries, and that doesn't necessarily make me think mistletoe. It just makes me think this is a nice fall winter pattern. It's a lovely shade of green and the trim is lovely. Very pretty. All right, so let's load it up and show you how I might pack this thing up here. Let's see. All right, so the end pockets. That's probably where I'll put my Wet Ones wipes. So put a couple of Wet Ones wipes down in there. They go far enough down, I'm not worried about anything else, anything significant like your keys or cell phone. I wouldn't trust. These are too shallow to trust for that, unless you happen to maybe have a tiny flip phone. That would probably fit in here. But a standard size cell phone, normal cell phone, I wouldn't put in there. Unless it was sitting on the chair next to me at church, maybe something like that, or at dinner. All right, so inside, all right, so this back pocket, I have a tissue pouch that I don't know what brand. I just bought it on Amazon, liked it because it was fall. I'm gonna put that. So that'll be fine without, it's flexible enough to not misshape that pocket right there. The other thing I could fit in there would be, that's what a zip ID would look like. That would be okay in there. Let me try zipping and make sure. Yeah, that would be okay in there. The newer, let's see what this thing's called, zip card pouch. This is in bronze green. That could easily go in there. So I think I'll do my tissues because I need to reach for those more frequently than I do my extra. This is just extra set of keys. I'll also show you that if you have, this is Prairie Paisley, a deluxe zip ID can fit down in there. So any of those standard kind of items, you know, they're just kind of the right height where they're not gonna cause this to poke up. So any of those could fit in there. And then I have a mini cosmetic in strawberry ice. And this is Performance Twill pre-rebrand of the mini cosmetic. So I could load that up and fit that down in there easily to use as my cosmetic. I'll put my tissues there. As far as what to put in these strange narrow pockets, my miniature Altoids can fit down in there. So I'll probably put my Altoids in one. A lipstick can also fit in there without getting stuck. I was worried that they were even going to be too narrow for lipstick, but you could put a lipstick or chapstick or something like that down in those. But I tend to carry a cosmetic pouch, so I probably won't have a need for that. I could put my Vera Bradley lens cloth. If I roll it up, that would be a good use. I'll probably leave that like that. And then I'll put my Altoids over here on the other side. All right. And then, so this side, that would be for my cell phone, which I'm filming with that right now. And then keys, my other keys. Let's see what I do with my other keys. I'm not sure where my keys are. I'll have to find them. I had them just a second ago. Okay, well, never mind. When I tried putting keys down inside these narrow pockets, they're just not wide enough to put keys. So I probably will just lay my keys down in here in the bag itself. So there's really a lot of room. I also have this large creativity pouch from Kipling that I could use. I picked that because the shade of pink. So here's this extra set of keys. Could be down in there. I'll pretend like this is my cell phone because I don't ever carry my Android phone, but I could put that down in that pocket just so you can see how it packs up. All right. See? I'll pretend like I'm going to use this other one for a lipstick, chapstick or something. So like that. So let me take this off here and see if I can get you a better look. Okay, so lipstick and cell phone, room for a cosmetic, extra set of keys, lens cloth, tissue pouch, and Altoid mints back in here. And there's more room. If I needed another zip ID with something in it, I could definitely fit that. So the depth of it, how deep the base is, this part across the bottom, that's more than enough room for me. My main issue is I wish that this bag was slightly taller and slightly longer, just a smidge longer, because I'm going to show you what this looks like compared to the small duffel. So I'll come right back and show you what the small duffel. All right, so in the back, you see a Vera Bradley small duffel in the pattern Floating Garden. And in the front, you see the newest version of a 100 handbag. There is no way I would carry the small duffel as a purse. It's way too big to be, for me, to be a purse. It's just oddly configured, especially the depth of it. I mean, look at that compared to that. So you might carry that as a diaper bag, or you might carry it instead of a tote maybe, but to me, it's way too large for a purse or a handbag or a shoulder bag. It's intended to be a very small travel item. So that's that comparison. And let me show you some other bags as a size comparison, because I also strongly do well seeing compared to other things that I know what they are. So this is huge compared to this. All right, so other options. Let me show you side by side. All right. So indigo, this is, I think, the original version of a 100. It wasn't even called 100. It was called Handbag. It was just the name, Handbag. Style number 100 is where the 100 handbag came from, compared to the newest version, which is called the original 100 handbag, which is funny because it's not the original. This is the original. This I've already showed you before, very thick, very, very thick padding on the straps, nice trim. It did not have piping, so this one's the winner for having the piping. The pockets on it were even less tall, so they're shorter, so that'd be worst idea for a cell phone. But it's essentially very similar in size and look, although I would say the new version surpasses this older one as far as having some good structure to it. All right, so that's compared to that. Let's see what else I could show you to compare this to. All right, here's a Libby. And this really compares more to like the, what is that called now? I can't think of it. A more recent crossbody. And I showed it because I liked how they included a zipper pocket on the back, which a zipper pocket wouldn't work on this with the way that the straps are designed. So I can see why they didn't do a zipper pocket. But if this bag would have been slightly taller and slightly longer, this could have come up more and probably fit a cell phone. All right, here's a Carson Mini crossbody. Okay, so a lot of folks know what the size of this is. It's not going to have nearly the depth, but as far as how tall, and it had a nice pocket on the outside. So that's what that looks like in comparison to that. The Little Hipster. Again, this thing was very, very little depth, but had a nice spot for a cell phone. Triple Zip Hipster. Let's see find that. All right, so not comparison at all as far as the size or shape or anything, but wouldn't it have been lovely to have this pattern on this and have this trim on this? Or even better yet, go back really old school and have an original triple zip hipster relaunched in a lovely pattern like this with the piping. And see how they used to have the trim in the middle and the slight flare to the base. Hint, hint, Vera Bradley. This is what I'd love to see you do next. Bring back a heritage, original, triple zip hipster. The trio zip hipster over on the factory side is not the same. And you don't have the same patterns available over there. So I would love to see the return of an original heritage triple zip hipster, have trim, have piping, have the flared bottom. That's my next wish. And then a recent purchase from the factory outlet. I was very thrilled to see this come back. This is the extra large crossbody. So glad to see that return. It has a zipper front, and I have pictures on Vera Bradley Buzz about it. And I have another 2 videos, I think, about the different patterns, but same purse as far as the extra large crossbody. But you can see that's more of an olive, which I love this too. It's more of an olive green, and this is more of a deep, almost a hunter green, but almost like a very, very dark teal. It has some, as you can see in the zipper, it's not quite like that, but just a beautiful shade of green and a beautiful pattern. Hope this helps anyone who's considering this bag to know especially what the pockets can hold.